Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Osterhout, the executive producer here at Lincoln Square, and I am joined today by Ryan Clarkson. He's a trailblazing attorney leading the global fight against the misuse of AI. And the misuse of AI in healthcare settings and in tech and really everywhere. It's being misused in ways that you don't even know it's being misused yet, and that's why we've had you on. He's also taking the fight against some of the world's biggest corporations, including United Health and Cigna, to protect consumers. In other words, us. So, Ryan, thanks for your work and thanks for joining today.
Happy to be here, Sam. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So, I heard the story of some healthcare insurers, United Health among them, using or incorporating AI into their decision-making process. And spoiler, it's not great. What's happening? Can you sort of just explain what's happening? Just give us a sort of background of what's going on with AI, because this is we're kind of 2 years into this revolution, and most of us don't even know that it's happening.
Yeah, so let me give you a little background. I'm managing partner of a public interest law firm of about 30 lawyers headquartered in Malibu, California, Clarkson. We've got offices up and down the California coast and throughout the United States. And we prosecute cases in the public interest on behalf of large groups of people in class actions and mass actions in connection with harms that are being created by the largest corporations in the world. About 2 years ago, when the world was caught by storm by ChatGPT from OpenAI, we filed a groundbreaking lawsuit against OpenAI and another against Google. And that was in connection with the mass theft of everyone's personal information, copyrighted works being among them, in order to train large language models that fueled the chatbots that now seem to be entangled in every aspect of our lives.
Right.
And what we learned over the course of conversations with concerned citizens, with whistleblowers, with other thought leaders and policymakers, is that the harms that these artificial intelligence tools were causing weren't limited just to the big tech and consumer context, but it was also happening in other contexts. In particular, it was happening in the healthcare context. And so we talked with hundreds of Medicare Advantage plan holders, with United Healthcare, Humana, and other private insurers. And what we learned is that AI tools, artificial intelligence tools, and other advanced algorithmic technology were being used by these insurers, not to more efficiently pay claims, but to unfairly deny them the healthcare that they were entitled to. And some of the stories you wouldn't believe, Sam. I mean,
well, I was going to say the Martins. I know Robbie Martin and Jackie Martin. Were you involved in that? And if so, can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah. So we are representing the Martins, and their story is a tragic one. I want to preview Frank Perry's story, because I think Mr. Perry's story, I think, is indicative of just how dangerous the use of AI technology in the health insurance claim context can be. So Mr. Perry was prone to falls because of balancing issues. He's about 90 years old, and he fell and he broke some bones in his face. He required surgery and a stay in a post-acute care facility. This is where one goes to essentially rehab. Sure. and heal, so that you can return to his apartment and home and ambulate to toilet, to do all the things, one needs to be able to do to take care of oneself. And Mr. Perry's wife is a medical doctor herself. Mr. Perry's a PhD physicist and a storied career. And his wife gets a call from someone associated with the post-acute care facility saying that his time at the facility has come to an end and we are taking him home. Mrs. Perry, or Dr. Perry, knows that her husband's in no condition to take care of himself. He hasn't even healed fully from his injuries and surgery. She rushes home to find an ambulance in the driveway and Mr. Perry on a gurney, just dumping him to a family member. And we hear stories like this over and over and over again. So, it's not just that people are being shortchanged of healthcare that they're entitled to, but they're being dumped back at home. And this is causing either a loss in healthcare entirely, and in some cases, an acceleration in their demise.
So let me ask you, these companies are pretty famous for their excellence at denying coverage in general. Why do they need AI? What advantage does the AI give them in this case?
Well, I think what it gives them is speed. Mm-hmm. These AI tools, they're not limited by a workday of a human being.
Right.
It's software that can be deployed, to deny claims en masse, and that's what we're seeing being done here. In our Cigna case, which involves something a little bit different, it's an advanced algorithmic technology that was used as part of the prior authorization process. Many Cigna policyholders were having diagnostic testing denied. Mm-hmm. And what we learned is that over a period of about 2 months, there were some 300,000 denials. And if you look at, the licensed physician that was tasked with reviewing the denials, as is required under California law, mm-hmm. You're entitled to a full and fair review of a health insurance claim denial. It came out to something like 1.2 seconds per denial.
Oh my God.
So these physicians were just rubber stamping the denials en masse. And that's what can be done in the AI context when it's being deployed as part of healthcare decision making.
Right. So it's taking all of the worst impulses that these corporations already have, and then putting them in hyperdrive, basically.
That's right. That's right. And you've got these private health insurers with a profit motive, right?
Right.
So the more they can collect in premiums and the less they pay out as part of paying for healthcare, the more they're going to profit. And if a model like that is imported from the private context into the public context, as we're seeing the administration is suggesting with this pilot program, I think people are in for a real rude awakening and a scary situation.
Well, go a little bit deeper into that, because it does feel like the Cigna case and the healthcare case or situation is almost an approved model of Trump, right? This is how he understands that sort of profit motive. He understands that the drive to build profit at the expense of all other things. How is this going to work out for the United States when somebody like Trump is essentially giving these AI companies carte blanche?
Well, the AI companies should not be receiving any license to, take their profit motive model from, the private context and use it in the public context. I think it would be a scary situation. They they haven't earned our trust. They haven't demonstrated any corporate responsibility whatsoever. I mean, we're still trying to learn the kind of the lessons of the harms that were created as part of the social media,
Right.
that whole mess. And now we're in this AI economy with technology that is rapidly advancing and much more powerful, and the dangers are much more serious. So I don't think they've earned our trust, and I think we should be very wary of allowing them access to, Medicare, as it were.
Yeah, right. And all of our personal data. I know, Doge, that was a big project for Doge and for all of the Doge cuts, and was to get access to so much personal data for training purposes, but for who knows why else. And I think the parallel between this and social media is really apt, because social media company Zuckerberg, for example, came in and was like, "This is going to be the greatest thing that's ever happened." Are you finding that the companies that you go up against are still, do they believe this is going to be a net positive for the world, or is this profit?
It's hard to say. I suppose one would have to look at it from a case by case basis,
Sure.
because there probably are true believers in the technology space that think that what they're doing is going to be a net benefit for society, but the profit motive is just inescapable. And even if you go back to the origin story of OpenAI, where it was started as a nonprofit, once they realized that there was money in it, they quickly created a for-profit arm. They took all the data, apparently, that nonprofit entity obtained, and they laundered that to the for-profit to the for-profit entity, something that we think of as data laundering, essentially. And now it's supposedly valued at hundreds of billions of dollars, and is kind of leading this AI arms race that all of us are so concerned about.
Yeah, it does feel like if, I mean, Altman and they're all, all the maximalists are very pie in the sky. This is going to change the world for the better. And anytime they're on a podcast or interview, they'll, and they're asked about job loss, for example, they'll say, well, sure, but those industries are going away anyway. And it does feel like they will reformat their motives and their purpose and their everything to fit the profit in the back end. So what's happening now with these lawsuits against Cigna and United Health?
Yeah, so our lawsuits against the big health insurance companies are motoring along. As expected, each of the defendants in each of those cases filed motions to dismiss, essentially trying to shut the courthouse doors to our clients and the insurance policyholder classes that they and we sought to represent. And in each case, the judges denied those motions to dismiss. And so now we're through the pleadings stage and into discovery, where we're permitted to gather additional evidence to build our case and to hopefully pry open the black box in each case to understand what's really going on under the hood.
So what, I'm thinking your burden will be to prove that they knew harms would come from this. But what is their stated? I mean, I'm guessing that's partly what you need to prove, that they understood that this was going to potentially, end more people's coverage. What is their stated claim? How do they think this was not a bad thing, or that it would somehow benefit their customers? Or did they even claim that?
Well, we don't have to prove they intended to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to prove that they breached their obligations
Right.
to their policyholders. And we believe that we're going to be able to prove that. We have numerous clients and class members all over the country who tell the same story about the way in which these artificial intelligence tools were used to unfairly deny their care. We know that there are from whistleblowers and former employees of these companies that this this technology was being used as part of the claim determination process. We also know that when the decisions that were made to deny claims by these artificial intelligence tools are challenged on appeal, over 90% of the time they're reversed. So we know that the AI tools are getting it wrong over 90% of the time.
Jesus.
Which is consistent, I think, with most people's understanding of how AI works today in 2025. It hallucinates, it's inaccurate, it gets things wrong. We have to scrutinize everything and make sure that the answer we're getting is actually, substantiated and correct. So it's not a surprise that we're seeing, a reversal rate of over 90% in the healthcare and insurance claim context. As to what their position is on it, they are sticking by their story that it wasn't used as to make any claim determination, and that it's only been physicians, licensed physicians, and the appropriate people tasked with claim review that have made those decisions. But the evidence that we've gathered tells a very different story.
They're throwing the physicians under the bus, basically?
Yeah, that's right.
Why not? Lori Sell in the audience says, can you go into details about what type of care is being denied?
Yeah, well, what we're talking about in the Humana and United Healthcare cases is post-acute care and rehabilitation in skilled nursing facilities. So a typical situation is mom or dad or grandma or grandpa suffers a fall. Let's say they break a hip and require hip replacement surgery. They have their surgery, and the treating physician prescribes 30 days in a skilled nursing facility in order for mom or dad to relearn how to walk and to make sure that they can use the bathroom by themselves and do the things they need to be able to do independently to then go back and live their normal life. Except they don't get 30 days. Let's say the AI algorithm says mom's only entitled to 12 days. Well, guess what? On day 13, mom is being kicked out of the skilled nursing facility and being dumped back home, or being asked to pay out of pocket to continue the care. And so what we're seeing is people exhausting their life savings or their family's savings in order to continue to give their family members and themselves the care that they require, or they're just foregoing care entirely because they can't afford it. And we're seeing their health situations worsen dramatically. And, with Mr. Perry, for example, the sad story there and the conclusion of that I didn't get to before is when Mr. Perry did make it back home, he suffered a fall again because he wasn't ready to be home. And he died shortly after that due to complications from that fall at home. And that is so tragic, because if you think about who we're dealing with here, who is being affected, it is some of the most vulnerable people in our society, the elderly among us. And we should be treating them with human dignity and respect. And instead, we're taking away the health care that they're contractually entitled to.
Well, I think there's a couple of things there that they're contractually entitled to. That seems to me the bigger point. And using AI to decide that, to make a recommendation that goes counter to the prescribed treatment by the doctor, but that is also sounds like it goes against the terms of their insurance, is unethical and terrible. It's a terrible way to do business. And by the way, Marissa Williamson, kind of in the audience here, says if you're sick and you don't have anyone to advocate for you, the denial stands without the challenge. And that's kind of what you were saying, Ryan, is that you can either spend all of your money and go broke challenging these denials, or you just live and die with it.
That's right. And we see so often that people just don't have the wherewithal or the stamina to fight the system and to actually go through an onerous appeals process. And, let's not forget the disparate impact on, on certain communities of color and socioeconomically disadvantaged communities, who, again, seem to disproportionately not have the resources available to fight the system and to actually appeal these harmful decisions.
Yeah, I mean, it's no wonder that so many Americans are, one bad ankle sprain or a broken leg away from homelessness, even from total destitution. And the AI allows that to happen at an astronomical rate, much, much faster.
Right. And so when you think about this pilot program that the administration is rolling out, it's supposed to start in 6 states in January. And they're going to take this model and they're going to apply it to the 66 million Americans on Medicare. It's almost 20%.
Right. So can you tell us, dig into that a little more? Because I think it's just not getting the coverage that I think, and I understand why it's not getting coverage. There's a lot going on these days, but can you talk a little bit more about that pilot?
Sure. So the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, that's led by Dr. Mehmet Oz. You remember him, TV doctor, who's that agency, is rolling out a pilot program that's supposed to help rid Medicare of supposed fraud, waste, and abuse. And so in January, 6 states are going to be participating in this. And it's Ohio, Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, Washington, and New Jersey. And so the Medicare patients in those states are going to be subject to this system where they're going to be using artificial intelligence and machine learning tools, like the tools at issue in our healthcare cases, in order to supposedly help make the process more efficient and cost effective. The problem could be in the execution, because the way that it's set up, as I understand it, is states and the AI vendors utilizing these that are contributing these tools are incentivized economically. They get money back or they get additional payments, as I understand it, if they save taxpayer dollars through identification of supposed fraud, waste, and abuse. And so the profit motive that exists in the private insurer context, that one would hope would be absent in the public context, it seems to be being imported into that context. And so, we need to, if you're in one of those states and you're a Medicare, if you're on a Medicare plan, then you should be vigilant in any claims that you submit and get responses for, specifically if they're denials.
Well, that's terrifying. I mean, that is, it is. It's, some things are just not meant to be built for profit, right? And you're right. Giving that incentive to the states. whereas they save money, and then they get more money for saving money, is essentially a profit, but just by another name.
Right.
They're incentivized to kick more people off.
And I think there's a responsible way to do it, actually, Sam. I mean, if one were truly interested in making the process more efficient and leveraging technology, even artificial intelligence technology, to make the process more efficient, potentially save taxpayer dollars, I think there's a way to do it. But it would be as follows. Number one, you use the AI technology to more efficiently pay out claims.
Sure.
Get rid of the red tape and make it so that the easy ones are paid immediately. Save on administrative costs. If there is a denial, however, then there has to be a human in that loop. You have to have a licensed physician involved in it and giving it a fair, thorough, competent review to make sure that people entitled to care aren't being denied it unfairly. You have to have notice and transparency. If there is a denial and an AI tool was part of that process, then people need to be notified of it immediately. And there should be specific reasons laid out, including whether an AI tool was part of that process, because that will raise the red flag for people to more closely scrutinize this new technology and the decision-making that resulted from it. And then you need a clear and easily navigable appeals process. Because again, this labyrinthine, maze of hurdles that the private insurers erect that make it nearly impossible for people to navigate. It's just unfair, it's burdensome, and they know people are going to throw up their hands and give up.
Yeah, intentionally burdensome. Clearly, I mean, they're introducing AI, because of efficiency. Insurance companies and efficiency have never been used in the same sentence exactly. I also think, when you use AI to make decisions like this, you're removing accountability, right? There's no human being who you can question over that decision making.
Right. No, I think that's right, Sam. And that's something that I'm really concerned about and looking at very closely, because we're now hearing from the tech world more and more about agentic AI.
Right.
AI that operates and makes decisions and takes action, without a human being in that loop. And I don't think we want to be part of a society in which, there's no human to be held accountable for the acts of some technology that a multi-trillion-dollar company has released into the world.
Absolutely. I mean, Facebook did this in 2016 around the election and the swaying of voters and the use of misinformation. They were like, we're just a platform. This isn't our fault. It's an easy leap to see Sam Altman make similar claims about the damages that are being done to our culture. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, Ryan. I would love to have you back and hear more about the progress of the case and just talk AI in general. It's not going anywhere.
Right.
It's happening so quickly that it's one of those things that we at Lincoln Square really want to cover more, because it's healthcare now, it's job loss in certain sectors today and tomorrow, but in 26 and 28 it's going to be democracy.
Right.
There are real risks.
I think that's right, Sam. And the healthcare context isn't the only one in which our work is impacted by AI. We're seeing its intersectionality with workers' rights and with consumer protection, and everything in between. And so it seems like more and more of our work these days has to do with faulty, inaccurate, volatile, dangerous artificial intelligence technology. And it kind of makes sense, right? As we
Yeah.
move more and more from kind of this physical world that we're all living and working and communicating and enjoying life in to the digital world. Well, when bad things happen, they're happening increasingly in that digital world. And so we need to be able to meet the moment by monitoring it and prosecuting harms, when they happen in that digital world.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even gotten to people thinking that their AIs are God or
Right.
spirits. Yeah, that's a
I'll,
whole
I'll come back to that one, Sam.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'd love to have you. Well, Ryan Clarkson is managing partner at Clarkson Law Firm in California. I really appreciate you coming on, and good luck. And please do keep us posted.
Will do. Thanks so much, Sam.
Thank you.